What is up everyone, it's Gunnerboy here, and today we are in a game engine called GG Maker. I discovered this on Steam about a week ago. It looked interesting, so I decided to pick it up. And it's a very good game engine, I really like it, but there was no tutorials on it, so I've decided to create my own tutorial series for this engine. In this first episode I'll be going over what the engine is and what these buttons do. I won't be going into great detail, just going over what the basics are for them. And then in the next videos I'll be going over the creation of a game, a side shooter asteroid game, so look forward to that. So for anyone unaware of what this engine is, this is a graphical scripting engine. So what that means is if I open up a event here, it is node based. So what we could do, if I select that, is we can click stuff and then input the parameters and make our code through that means, through the graphical node means. So this right here is a default demo project that I've opened up just to show you what this engine is. And so this is a very good 2D engine. It can also do 3D. I haven't tried the 3D yet, but I know the 2D is very good. And for anyone who hasn't used this engine and wants to try it out, you can head on over to the website engine001.com and you can get the free version from here, or you can get the ultimate version, or you can also get it from Steam, which is where I got it from, for $70 US. Now the ultimate version on the website is dearer, but you don't get more features. They're the exact same features, but you get them earlier with the ultimate edition. So you get them probably a month earlier or something like that before they head on over to the Steam version. And that's really the only difference between the ultimate version and the Steam version. They all end up with the exact same features, just the ultimate version gets them first. And for a free version, I've got to say, engine001/ggmaker is very unlimited. Most free versions don't allow half of the features. ggmaker allows pretty much all the features. So if we go into the free version here, which I've got loaded up, this here shows all the stuff that the free version does not have, and as you can see, it's not very much. So the free version does not have Android or HTML building options or exporting options, so you can only build to the desktop. So for Windows, it doesn't support Mac, it's only Windows. It doesn't support 3D, so 3D animation or graphics, and it doesn't support web access, so you can't access a website through the game and access servers and that, so no multiplayer features whatsoever. Doesn't allow file editing, so what that means is that you can't open up a text document and save numbers to a text document through the game, or whatever you want to save. You don't have the license to sell your games with the free version, so you can't make an awesome RPG and then sell it for money. You have to have the full version for that, understandably. The free version has a branded logo when you first start up a free version game, not within the editor, but when you build it, a logo will show up. And if you get the paid version, you don't have to have a logo. Then over here, this is for mobile stuff, the accelerometer and tilting. So when you tilt your mobile device, it moves the character or whatever. Obviously, without any mobile support for the free version, you can't use that. As for what events it does or does not have, once again, it is very unlimited. So as you can see here, this yellowed out stuff is the stuff that is pro version only, and then the full colored is the stuff that you can use. So like we said, no internet access, no file systems. Half of the game options are gone, so that just allows you to have volume things and all that. As for everything else, there's, other than the 3D camera stuff, everything else is available to you. So like I said, there are some camera stuff, but all that pertains to 3D. Well, most of it anyway. There is some stuff for 2D, but for the most part it's all 3D. And everything else is available to you to use with the free version. So you will be able to follow along with my tutorials with the free version, because once again, you can do everything with it. So yes, but I do recommend, if you're serious about making games and everything, that you pick up the full version. It's actually a really cheap game engine compared to others, and allows you to do some great stuff. So now let's get into the tutorial part of this episode. So like I said, I won't be going into great detail. I'll be going into what each one of these things are, and I'll be starting off with this file up here, and I'll be working my way down to all this stuff. So let's get started. Files obviously just allows you to create a new game or open a game, well, project I should say. And if you see down here, you got the blank and you got some templates here. These are the templates are, they give you default graphics, I should say. So you get like these trees and everything come with it. If you want to start your own one from scratch, you can choose. You can hit this tick box and then choose a blank template, and that won't give you any free graphics or anything. You have to create everything yourself. That's what we'll be using to create our side shooter game. For the edit, that's all standard stuff. The map operations. This allows you to export pictures, so you can have a picture of your map or a series of pictures of your map. Run custom event allows you to run the custom events that I showed you in there. New is the same as this button down here, and duplicate and delete are obvious. And environment and properties are up here. I'll be going into them right now. So we open this up. This allows you to choose the name, and the scripting ID will automatically fill in with the name that you choose. That just allows scripts to, that's how it detects what map you select or anything like that. The width, height, and depth is pretty obvious. That's the width, height, and depth of your map. For 2D, depth is layers, so you can have like 2 layers, and you can have stuff on top of each other. So you can have like a first floor of a house and then a second floor of a house and things like that. The view here is the camera view, so right now we're at the 45 degrees. As you can see here, if we chose top down, then the camera would change to top down. Onload map on exit. What happens when you exit a map is the map that you're just in saves to your memory. If you choose the unload map on exit, it will not save to your memory. So any changes that you make to the map during gameplay will be undone as soon as you exit, and then when you enter, the map will be reset. Boundaries are bounding boxes around the edges here. So if I untick this, that means our character will be able to walk off the left of this screen here. With it ticked, he'll hit and collide there and won't be able to go any further. The connections allow, so just as we walked off the left here, we could load up another map. The player enters trigger allows us to set up an event, so we could say like hi when the player enters this map. And the edit variables are local variables for this particular map. So we could have variables and have them worth different things. That's if we want this map to do stuff, but we didn't want those variables for other maps. So now onto the properties and environments. The properties is the exact same thing. It just opens up the properties so you can change them. The environment, the change music allows you to change the music when you enter the map. This will automatically start playing. The free camera from edge, what will happen if you have this unticked, the camera cannot move past the edge constraints of this map. If you have that ticked, then it can, and you'll be able to see the black parts of the map because there's nothing out there. The background you can't see because we've got tiles here, but if I was to choose the eraser here and erase these tiles, and as you can see, it's black. If I change this to white and hit OK, they'll change to white. So that's just, wherever there's no tiles, what will the background be? The fog, you can see it here. This ambient fog just makes it harder for you be able to see things. So if you want to set it up to where you make an eerie, scary game or whatever, you have the fog to where the character can hardly see anything pretty much. So you can change the color here and the starting distance and end distance. This is the starting distance from the character. I believe the end distance from the character. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't actually used the fog myself, but I guess that's what it is. The sun is a lighting effect, so it's just pretty much the tint of this map. As you can see, there are shadows for these things here, and these are not part of the sprite. The engine actually draws the shadows for itself, so it can do it takes the shape of the thing and makes a shadow for it. And you can also disable shadows for specific objects if you want. And if we change this to white here, you can see now we've got like a daylight kind of effect. And changing it back down to black, the darker it is, obviously the darker it is, We can change it to something like a maroon, and we can have like an eerie red moon night thing. So yes, that's what that is. Rain and snow is obviously rain and snow. Doesn't have to be rain and snow, it's just whatever sprite you want, but it acts as rain and snow, so it'll fall down across the screen. I just wanted to change that back to... There we go. So yes, you can change how fast it is and how much of it there is and how big it is and things like that. Clouds, I forgot to go over the parallax, I'll go over that in a second. Clouds is a cloud effect, so obviously you can have clouds floating across the map as you do. And once again, it's the exact same as rain, just has clouds floating across the map. The parallax allows you to set up things like, say if you're making a space game, you could have stars flying across the screen, but your character is not actually moving. So it just allows things to go from one edge of the map to the other and continuously, forever. Just keep going back and forth across the map. Now let me actually delete that so it doesn't cause any problems. Okay, and that's everything to do with the map. So now we've got a view. This is once again the camera view, just as I said. The zoom this doesn't actually affect the game once you hit play. This is just so you can get in closer and edit tiles in a greater detail. Move up layer allows you to remember. Whoops, let me undo that. Remember when I said there's depth, and what the depth is for 2D. For 2D, it's layers. So the higher up the layer, like so you can have different stories and everything. If you hold down Control and mouse wheel, you can go between those layers. So go between floors and that. And going up and down through this just does the same thing. Go to location, so just say if you want to get the center of a map and you know your map is like 20 by 20 or whatever, then you can put 10 by 10 and it'll take you to tile 10 by 10. Resources. All this stuff will be going into, because that's down here, so I'll just leave that. Game. All this stuff once again I'll go into down here because it's down there. Tools is a very useful thing. Update resources. Allows you just say if you edited a picture or whatever, you can update it through here, and then you won't have to, re-import it or whatever. Show unused resources. This shows any sprite or icon or whatever that isn't placed on a map or an interface, and I'll get into interfaces in a second. This doesn't necessarily mean that the game's not using it, it just means it's not currently placed anywhere. So yeah. Optimize resources. If we do this, what this does is compresses all your images and music files, and so then your file when you export is smaller. I had an error right there. It's actually the first time that's ever happened to me. So yes, but anyway, I've never had that error, but anyway, not important. So yes, it will compress your images and things so they have a smaller file size. And the resource profiler, this shows you the memory usage and file size of each image and things. So as you can see right now, we've got 8.65 megabytes worth of files and music and code, I guess. And over here is the memory usage, so how much of our RAM is being used for it. So it just allows you to make sure your project's not getting too big. Generate resources for devices. This pretty much just optimizes things for Androids and that. Nothing really too important. The music player. Oops, didn't know that was going to play automatically. The music player just lets you, listen to all your imported sounds. Parental control. Just say if you're a parent and you've got kids and you don't want them to be able to mess with your projects, whatever, you can set up a parental control so they can't jump on here and mess with your stuff. Testing options. This allows you to emulate things, so just say you want to check to see if it will work on a Samsung Galaxy S4, you can do that here.
You can display there's debugging options over here, so you can display the frame rates, and you can choose fast testing, which will give you lower performance, but allow the game to load faster, so you can get in and test it faster. And options here. This just allows you to change all the colors and borders and everything for everything. But the one thing I want to point out over here is the graphics editor. So if I show you here, if I just go into here and say hit edit on that, as you can see, this has a built-in graphics editor, and I can create my own tiles and that. It's not a sophisticated one, it's just a very basic one, but it is a very cool thing to have. It's not really for creating your own tiles, it's more for when you create stuff in third-party applications, but you need to edit it because maybe you made a mistake or whatever. Then you don't have to go back to that third-party editing software. And so in here, you can untick the use built-in one, and you can change it so then, just say when you hit edit on something, it opens up Photoshop instead. Personally, I just use the built-in one. If I need to open up Photoshop, then I just open it up myself. The rest of this stuff isn't really important, so we won't worry about that. The help has some tutorials. I haven't seen the cutscene one, that's from the newest update. But it has some pretty good tutorials, and I recommend checking them out. I've seen all of them. The documentation opens up this, and it shows you, what all the stuff are. You can open up the scripting here, and you can see what every single node event does, so it's very, very useful. You can also get that online on the wiki, which if I open up here, is just, it's pretty much the same thing, just a wiki. The forum is the Engine 001 forum. I recommend you create an account and say hello and get into the community and all that. It's all good fun. Submit bug. If you find a bug, then you can. What this will do will compress your file and send it. You'll compress your project and send it to them, so then they can open up your project and see exactly what's going on. So very useful. If there's any bugs, I haven't come across that many bugs. There's been a couple, but I haven't come across that many. Down here is just the websites and the Facebook page. I'm not going to click on them. And we've got tips here. I recommend you read for them. They're very good tips. Okay, so now that's the help options and everything. Now we'll go over this stuff down here. Right here is your sprite editor, and what this does is allows you to create animations and enemies and things like that. So the rotate graphics with direction. If you hold down with that unticked, if you hold down the right arrow or whatever your move button is, the character will turn and face that direction. Whereas with that ticked, your character will rotate towards that direction. You'll understand if you're familiar with 2D games. So over here, this just allows you to edit what templates can use this sprite, because sprites are used through actor templates, and you can choose which category uses that template, which I'll get into later over here. Down here is your poses. You can make a custom one, or you can select one. So let me just go to the default male. So we've got the walking here. So as you can see in the preview down here, he's walking, and we choose slashing. He's slashing his sword there. Up here is the animations for that pose, and the idle animation. As you can see, the idle animation isn't an animation, it's just one thing, but you can make an animation if you want to. The pose length is how long the animation is, so as you can see, the same length, but if we select here, you can see the animation name is changing, so these are the animation options. So you can change the name. Right here is the layer, or the render order. So this is running on render order 0, and this is 90. So if we hit play here, it's hard to see. Let me see. We go to slashing. If we hit play, it's really hard to see. But when he slashes, his arm is in front of the body, because that is at layer 0, and the arm is at layer 90. If I change this to 120 or 1120, and then hit play, when he slashes, his arm disappears because it goes behind the body. So that's just how you control which one gets rendered where and when. Okay, shadow distance. if I select this to white, this just changes the background color. This changes whether the lighting is enabled or disabled in the preview. This is preview once, and this is a loop preview. So shadow distance, like I said before, the game automatically draws shadows, and this determines how far away from the actor, or not the actor, the sprite, the shadow is drawn. Lighting mode chooses how light affects it. So disabled means it's not affected by light at all. And yeah, you got different options here for different things. I'm not going to get into this stuff too much, into all this stuff. Additive affects how it's affected by different colors, I believe. Two-sided is for 3D only. That allows you to render unculled faces. Anyone who's familiar with 3D knows what I'm talking about. When you make a 2D plane, you can only see one side, and the other side is back-faced culling it's called. And this just allows that other unseen face to be rendered. It's kind of confusing. You need to understand 3D theory to understand that. Overlay is pretty much for UI, from what I've noticed. Just allows you to overlay over everything else without being affected by light and things like that. So, for your HUD and things like that, you'll be choosing that. Billboard, if we select this, it makes it so the image is always facing the camera. So, as you can see, if we move across here, no matter which view we choose, it's always facing the camera. Now, if we uncheck billboard and go to the top, we can't see it anymore because it's not facing the camera 24/7. And that's just the way that works. I'm not going to get into this stuff in here because I really don't know what it is, to be honest. Particle generation allows you to create particles. Let's do this for the arms, eh? So if we select particle generation, we can open up this and we can choose the starting size, minimum and maximum. So randomly, when it loads, what size it will be randomly chosen between those two values. We can choose the speed, so we can have it going backwards, for instance. And we can change the color. So we can have this starting color as red, and then it will slowly fade down to, say, orange, and we can have that opacity down. And so now we hit play. As you can see, that creates some wild effects. So that's the particle generation. The graphics scripting here allows you to affect the sprite through various variables. So just say retrieve size, we could have it say if we resize our game window, it will also resize the graphics and things like that. So you can put various variables in there. The sequence mode just chooses whether you want as a looping animation or just once. So yeah. Let me open up this map here. So next we've got the tile sets here. This allows you to create the floors. There are 4 layers of tile sets. So you've got walls, you've got upper objects, lower objects. So these are just all objects, and floors. And each one is laid on top of the other. So floor is the lowest layer, lower objects is the second lowest, and so upper is rendered on top of lower, and lower is rendered on top of floor, and wall is rendered on top of everything. That's pretty much how that works. And so in here, let me just choose, ground's alright. So, as you can see here, this just shows one that we've got selected, and we could edit there, and we could create our own tile. As you see, I've done there. And we can name it. Submersion is used for things like water, so if we were to step in that, I believe like the bottom 3 pixels or whatever of our character would not be rendered or something like that. I haven't actually used that, I don't actually know, but I believe it's something like that. So you can make like a water effect. And in here, this allows you to set up the auto tiling and how it's affected. So as you can see, this is for dirt. If we go into here, we can see it more better. So this one's for grass, this one's for that dark grass, and this one over here is for dirt. And this is just a display here. And if we go to our map here, we can see that it's already in effect down there. So if I was just going to the floor tiles down here, As you can see, we can create more water, make a more lake area. No, I don't want to save that. So yes, that is the tiles. And also for lower objects and all that, you can change the shape of it, and you can edit the collision box. So yeah, let me find something better. Let me find something a little bit better. Furniture should be a good one. So we go to here and select this and go to edit. As you can see, here is our table side here. If we go to 3D, you can see our table. And this is our collision box here, and this is where we can edit it. If we go to, say, tallish, as you can see, our bounding box has changed. If we go to tall, it's changed again. Or you can do your own custom one. It's up to you. Collar down here, I believe, just changes the color variations. We've got it all set to 0 and everything, so it probably won't make much of an effect. Over here we can change it to a normal map, so you can have normal maps. You more use that for 3D than this stuff. You can add compression, which just allows you to have things at a lower quality, so you have higher performance and things like that. So yes, that is the tile maps. As soon as this loads. Okay, and here is doors. This is where you can have door effects, and I haven't actually used any of this yet, but it allows you to have an opening and closing door. So as you can see, we've got affected here. So that's it's starting to open. That's it closed. And this is it fully open, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I haven't actually used that, but all I know is that it's doors. Over here is your equipment. So this is for things like armor and weapons, and we'll be using this in our game. So we can create things like a flamethrower right there. You can create swords or armor plates. And yes, I'll be going into this in the actual game tutorial, so I won't be going into this now, because there's quite a lot of stuff in there. Here is where you can import music or sound files and edit them. Here is your font options. You can load in fonts. I believe you can draw out your own fonts, or you can load them from actual font thing. There you go, there's a whole bunch of fonts here. You can see that changes things. You can type it all in there, or you can you can edit your own. So that's just fonts, so you can have different font styles for your games. Here is your hero or players. So this is your main character and its party members and all that. So you can, right here, this is where the categories come in. So as you can see, this is remember the male was set to body category. That's where it shows up here, and then here we can change. We can have a blue guy if we want to. Make him orange, how about that? So he's a bit tanned. Here you have face, so you can change the eyes. As you can see, he's got eyes on there. You got hair there. Shoes. You can make your own custom categories as well, which is back in the Sprite editor. You type one in instead of So instead of body, we could type car, save, continue. Actually, that won't show up since that's actually in there, but now we'll go to edit. You can see we've got car here, and our male body is part of the car category. We don't actually want that though, so let's just change that back real quick. Change the body. I don't believe you can delete them. I believe once you've made them, That's it there. They're there. So yes, that's how you make your own categories. Over here, so this is the character template. You can change the team of it, and you can create your own teams in that little box there. They'll show you later. And this just means, remember how I said you can have swords and guns and all that. If you're on the same team as someone, then you can't hurt them with those swords. If you're on the opposite team, you can. Invincible just means that you can't be killed. Invisible means that your character is invisible. Initially existent, that means if you had that unticked when you start the game, the character wouldn't exist yet. You need to actually spawn him in. Solid, if we have that unticked, then he's got no collision. Automatic movement, this allows you to set up so you can automatically move left and right or things like that. It's kind of like a really simple AI. Generic AI allows you to set up enemies that can chase down your character. So I believe in the templates here, this is for your player right here. It's for your player and characters, and this is for everyone else, enemies or objects. Because it doesn't have to be an NPC to be a template. So as you can see, this has got a generic AI, and this enemy character would chase our character and kill him because he's got that enabled. So let's just go back into here real quick. Over here we've got speed, so this is how fast our character will move when we hold down the move button. Acceleration is the exact same thing. There's two different ways you can move. The acceleration is for when we have the acceleration is for when the rotate graphics with direction is selected. That is when, oops, keep having the wrong thing. That is when acceleration is taken into account. But if you have that unticked, then you use speed. Over here is pretty much how physics is handled. If you turn it on to fly, if you have it on land, sorry, and say you put it up on layer 2, but layer 2 doesn't have a floor, then the character will actually fall down to layer 1. Whereas if you have it on fly, then he'll fly around on layer 2 and not fall. Water means that he can swim in water. Submersion means he can go underwater. I don't know what sustain or instant mean or auto climb to strafe mean. Not exactly sure, I haven't used them. In the edit AI options, by the way, the weapon speed is how fast the enemy attacks. So more further up, the faster he will attack. The field of view is how much around the character, how much around the enemy the character. Speech. How far around the enemy the character can be seen. So if I put it up like that, that's like a full 360. You can see everywhere. Put it down and, like you say, down to there, and then he'll only be able to see right in front of him. The visual distance is how far he can see. And the keep near post as route means he won't be able to wander around by himself. I've already explained all that. The edit graphics options allow you to enable or disable shadows. So if I disable them right there, you'll see his shadow underneath him there disappears. The shadow distance is based off of the distance from the sprite. And there's a bunch of other stuff in here that you can fiddle around with. You probably won't be using that too much though. I'll get into this in a second. The vehicle stuff here is for when you're using, well, vehicles obviously. We could turn our character into a vehicle if we want to, and then we could have it so he requires petrol to move. If we don't have any petrol, then he can't move, or whatever we want. It says gas, but you can name it whatever you want in your game. And yes, then we've got different speeds. Reverse speed is how fast backwards he can go, and turning is how fast he can turn. This only takes into effect when you have that rotate graphics with direction. So right now this will do nothing, but if we had that ticked, then this will be how fast we rotate. Requires key is do we need an object to move? Do we need an object in our inventory to move? Exits, I believe, is when we bump up against that, we get out or something. I'm not 100% sure on that, actually. Turrets is, I'm not sure what the manual and automatic control do, but the turning range is how far we can turn. So just how we had this down here, our character could only turn that much, whereas all the way he can do full circles. So this pretty much limits how far around we can turn when that change direction with graphics option is selected. Initial direction is which way it initially turns. So over here is the triggers. So here we can add triggers like when our character is killed, or when it is loaded. So when we load up the game, we could have, so when this character loads on the map, we could have it say, do, whatever event you want. And we'll just delete that there. We'll be using that once again in the game that we'll be making. So the actor template is the exact same thing. It's just, there you go. It's the exact same thing. It's just like I said, this is for things that aren't your player. So your enemies or vehicles, things like that. Anything that can be interacted with on the map. So just say if you want a tree that could be chopped down, that would actually be a template and not a tile set, because it can be interacted with. Over here is statistics. So if we open up our enemy here, as you can see down here, we've got health, wisdom, attack, defense. I don't know what those two are, but what the statistics are is those. So we could have it so you have to have health. You can't get rid of that, but just able to add one. We'll call it blah 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 blah, and then we'll open up our editor. Sorry, wrong thing. Open up our enemy here, and you can see there's our statistics, and then we can edit that through the scripting thing. So we can say if we have 10 points and we lose all 10 points and we die. The equipment down here is the items that I've already showed you, and as you can see, you can choose area of equipment, so weapons, magic. That just chooses how it is equipped and where it is used, and you can change them here. So as you can see, you can add one on if you want to, just like I did before. And as you can see, there are holding points. And what are holding points? I forgot to mention. If we open up, our male here, see how he's holding a sword? We can add holding points, and then wherever we add a holding point, and then select it through the equipment. So holding point 1 for weapons. Whatever weapons we select in here, so just say AK-47 is a weapon, it will be attached to where that holding point is, so we can have him running around the map with a sword in his hand, without actually having to make an animation for that ourselves. Team alliances. Here you can get rid of all these if you want to, and have none, or you can have as many as you want. And this pretty much decides who hates who, using the generic AI. So all people with a negative, the AI will attack. Neutral, no one will attack, and it affects which collisions will collide with what. So 2 things on a good team will not collide with each other. 2 things on a bad team won't collide with each other. But 1 on a good team and 1 on a bad team will collide and kill each other. So this is how you deal with that. The XYZ here allows you to create variables for your entire game, and then you can store things in them or get things from them. We will be using that in the game tutorial, I believe. I can't really remember, because I've already done the game, so that's already done. The system triggers. This allows you to set up things like when you die, or when the game is loaded, when the game the first map comes up. This one's for when a saved game is loaded. So it just allows you to create. There you go, open up. It allows you to create custom scripts for when these things happen. Custom events. If you're using one event over and over again, you can just create it in here, and then you can reference it within the world without having to rewrite it every single time. So it's just a convenience thing. Over here is how you create controls. So as you can see, we've got left, right, jump and everything. And here's where we assign what control does what. So that's the left arrow and that's the A button, and they make the character run left. And up here we have input triggers, and these go hand in hand with the control inputs. So as you can see, we've got left here and we edit. This allows you to, let me just create a new one actually. And so now we choose here, we can choose which of those controls we are affecting. So just say left, then we can add the control, and then we can create a script for it that will allow us to run left or right. You'll understand this in the game creation tutorial, since we obviously do that. Over here is import resources. This isn't for importing pictures and that. This is for importing music and really I don't really know what really. I haven't used this at all. Everything is imported for their own little file options, so you probably won't even be using that ever. Here you have game settings. This just allows you to change the settings for after you've built the game, how things will run, what the very first default map is, like where you start off as, is at. Whether or not you want the Engine 001 branding or GG Maker branding. With the free version you cannot disable these, but with the full version you can. And it allows you to choose the size of your game. This is where you choose what size it is. So if you want it running at 1920 by 1080, this is where you set it. Wait for that to go down. Over here is the legacy settings. So these old settings are pretty much outdated, and they still work, but you don't have to worry about these really. But if you want to know what they are, you can just go through and read them all, but you won't use them, guaranteed. Startup menu settings. This is for not a menu within here, which I'll get over what these are in a minute, but a menu for when you build the game. A little pop-up displays whenever you start the game and allows you to change the resolution of the game and everything. If you enable it, that's what the display standard main menu is, and this just allows you to choose the options. Over here is the visual settings. This allows you to display like damage numbers and all that, so when you get hit it will show how much damage is done. This is just a default one. Obviously you can do this through the interface if you want to yourself, but yeah, it's just some visual options. And over here is the test games and build game. So we want build, we can build a HTML5, Android. I don't know what Data 1RC is, but it's there. iOS is not there, but from what I hear it's coming eventually. So yes, that's everything up there. Now the only thing left is to explain what this stuff down here is. So once again, all this stuff here is the editing of the map. Down here is the dimensions, so we could insert a column, so if I go there, makes the map one tile longer. And if I insert a row, then it'll make the map one row longer. If I insert a layer, it'll create depth. Remove columns, if I go bang, it gets rid of one column. And same with the rows. The actor allows you to place things like your enemies and vehicles and things. The route allows you to create a pathfinding route for, let's just say, like an enemy. If you want him to be patrolling back and forth along this bridge or whatever, you could do that. Timers allow you to set up, timers obviously, so you can have, so let's say a spider spawns every second, we'll be using that. Doors allow you to set up doors. Items allows you to place an item on the map, and you can make like a treasure chest or whatever and have items picked up through that. Yes, so very interesting. Lighting allows you to create lights, obviously, just like that one there. Speaker allows you to add a sound, so you can have a sound playing over there or a sound playing over there. Zones allow you to, they're very interesting, they allow you to, so you say you set that up, and then you can have it so if the player walks into that, a script is run, or a graphical script. So you can say when collided with character, do something. Or you can say when collided with character, change map. so we get teleported. So very interesting blocking. This just acts as a block, so a character will collide with that and not be able to pass through it. Just leave that there. Comment allows you to paste a comment, so you can just save your. Obviously, this won't show up when you build the game, but if you're creating something, you're like, oh, I need, you haven't finished or whatever you need to do, you can put that there. And this is just the exact same things up here. It allows you to test the game. So now that is everything within the map creation. Now we've got interfaces here. You can create an interface on the side here, just the same as the maps, but there's more triggers. And then, as you can see, these are the default interfaces, but you don't have to have them. This is the camera interface, so this is, if I was to edit this and bring this over here, I'm going to have a HUD item there, but then the full map would still be displayed. So this full map here will still be displayed on wherever this grey area is. As you can see, there's a lot of options in here, units and fields. I'll be going over a lot of these during our game creation, so I won't really go over them. Up here, we can change the size. This is just a preview of how your interface will look at this size. This doesn't set the actual size of the game. Once again, you have to do that through the default resolution up here. This just shows you how your interface will react to that size of a screen. So go to this one, for instance. As you can see, it doesn't change size at all. And you can have it so it does change size or whatever you want. So maybe this one, as you can see, that stays to the borders there. So no matter what size, it's always stuck to those borders. Whereas this one here doesn't. It just, goes all wonky, because that's how they set it up. Properties just let you go back and change those properties of the interface. And yes, selecting this here shows what is anything that's flashing means it's disabled and you won't be able to see it, which means you need to enable it for a script. And you can disable it by just having initially existed unticked, just like with the actor. And you'll be seeing all this in the game creation, so I'm not going to go over that right now. So anyway guys, that's been this introduction tutorial. In the next time we'll be going into creating a game. I know this one was probably very boring, but I just wanted to get all this stuff out of the way, so people know what all the buttons are and what they do. And yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed, and see you in the next one. See you guys later.